Welcome back to Back at Camp. I'm your host, Captain Don Martin. Listen, on our trips up here at Meadview, we operate out of beautiful Meadview, Arizona. Man, we've got wildlife up here. We got rabbits, we got quail, we've got coyotes that run around up here. We got some of the most outstanding scenery in northwest Arizona. We got the Grand Wash Cliffs. We got beautiful Lake Mead. We're going to go to Lake Mead. We're going to go down there to South Cove. We're going to go to a place, we're going to do some fishing. We're going to show you how to catch striped bass. We're going to show you how to catch some channel cat. We have tonight on the boat with me our producer Dan Hargrave, our cameraman Bill Riley, and we also have my good friend Jay Chan and my summer intern Ryan Borden. Now tonight I'm going to give you a little nomenclature about what we use on our trips. This is the boat that we use. It's a 21-foot jet boat. It was manufactured by Chico, and the reason I got this boat is because it's extremely wide. It's over 8.5 foot wide, so it's a very stable platform to fish off of. Now, some of the equipment that we use to make our trip successful is we use hydroglow lights. Now, there's a lot of manufacturers that make LED submersible lights. I have used hydroglow for many years, and they work really, really well. And if you want a good light, you get the 4-footer. And you can order these online from Hydroglow, a great piece of equipment and something that I attribute to our success at striper hunters. Now, one other thing that we always bring along is ice chests with ice, because these fish are coming out of 80-degree water. They're warm. So when we catch them, we put them right on a bed of ice, and then as we catch fish, we layer them with ice. And what that does, that keeps those fish cold and firm so that they're really, really good eating. Now, another thing that we got on this particular boat is we've got a light set up on every corner. It's 12-volt lights, and they shine the light so that the anglers can see the rod tips. It's really a good idea. Now, you may notice on these poles that we also have white tips. What we do is we paint the tips of our fishing poles, and that helps us see the bites at night, because some of the bites are kind of subtle. And you want to be able, that white gives you something that you can see when the fish are biting. So it's very helpful to us. We also carry the required Coast Guard equipment. Everybody's got life jackets. We got fire extinguishers on board. And, you know, we got lights at night. You always got to make sure you got your running lights working. So make sure you got plenty of fuel. Make sure your batteries are all charged. In this particular boat, I have 4 batteries on this watercraft because I run lights off of 3 of them. I don't run any lights or any equipment off my regular battery that powers my engine. That's a good way to end up stranded if you ever hook up a light to your battery, your starting battery. So this is something that we have found over the years that you need to do. Now, when we come back here tomorrow, we're going to hopefully have some fish, and I'm going to show you how we fillet both catfish and stripers, and it might be interesting for you. I'll show you the equipment that we use to do this, because when you're processing anywhere from 100 to 200 fish, it's important that you have really good equipment, and you're really going to stress your electric fish knives. So we're going to show you how to do that tomorrow. Hopefully tonight we're going to show you how to catch some fish. So we're all loaded up. They're cutting the bait. We're getting ready to go. Now, I do use anchovies, cut up anchovies, and I also use night crawlers, and I also use squid. So those are some of the baits that we use. Folks, I want to introduce you to Jay Chan. You've seen him on my show numerous times. I'm here to tell you he is the best striper fisherman that I know. So Jay's going to give you some tips on the bait that we use, how we rig it, and kind of things. So stay tuned. Pay attention to what he's going to tell you, because this guy's the best.
Okay, one of the things that we do in preparation for nights of striper fishing is cutting the bait. And one of the things that we do is we remove the head first, and then generally, depending on the size of the anchovy, we cut it into thirds or fourths, depending on, again, on its size. Now, one of the things that I do is we use a jig that's anywhere from 1/8 to a 1/4 ounce, and the way that we bait the anchovy is basically about a 1/2 inch in length. Is I usually hook it through the side of the anchovy. So basically it's like that. And then at the same time, I try to not fully expose the hook, but try and have a little bit of coverage on that. But what you would do is the tail, I would do the same thing. Basically what I like to try and do is, again, get in the thicker portion of the body and basically am hooking it towards the center. And the reason you basically want to do that is because if you have fish biting, if you put them too near to the edge, basically it makes it easier for the fish to take from you. So you want to make the fish work at it if they're going to take that bait. So relative to as far as the heads go, basically what we do is we use that for chumming purposes. Now others say that heads work fine. It's just my preference not to use them and use them for chum instead of the rest of the anchovy. One of the other things that's important to have when you're out there striper fishing, you want to keep your catch fresh. So we use a lot of ice. Here what you see is a 1,000-pound ice machine. And basically when we're going out, we're probably taking at least 100, 150 pounds of ice with us in ice chests. And as we catch them, the fish, basically we're layering the ice on top of the fish so that they remained cold and fresh, because during the night we're out there anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. So in order to have fresh fish, it is important to keep those fish nice and cool. One of the other things that I'd like to mention that's critical to have out there with you is making sure that your bait does not get too soft. So one of the things that we use with the anchovies during the night is we put dry ice on top of them. So what you can kind of estimate is for every 2 pounds of anchovies that you have, you should have about 3 pounds of dry ice. And by doing that, that should keep the anchovies nice and firm so that you can hook your bait firmly onto the hook. And also, talking about bait, one of the other things I forgot to mention was a couple of the other types of bait that we use is squid for one, and night crawlers. Sometimes stripers like squid instead of anchovies, or a combination thereof. And the same thing true of using a night crawler. One of the other things that's important to have once you've caught the fish is stripers have really sharp gill plates. So one of the things that's nice to have with you is it's great to use a cloth when you're handling them. And of course their dorsal fins, all of their fins are very sharp. So not only in addition to having a cloth, it'll save your hands from all those cuts that you'll realize once you've caught a few of them. But one of the other things in addition to the cloth is a hook remover, especially when the fish swallow a hook deep. These are a lifesaver for your fingers. So needle nose pliers, they work great also. But those two key things, once you've caught the fish, would really benefit your hands at the end of the night.
But we're getting it all done. We're getting it all set up. The boys are all excited. We're going fishing, so don't go away. The next time you see us, we're going to be out on Lake Mead. There he is. He's probably 6 at least. But
should get with this one also.
all right, Jay.
All right.
Jay, do you want? Is this okay with your stuff? Or do you need to put it back there?
Oh no, I'm gonna like that, but we got to figure out whose are those.
Don, these are your worms, right? Then, Jay, what's the one underneath your bag? Is that regular bait too?
Yeah, that's for me to use.
Okay, there's yours. Worms, Don's.
No, Don has his,
I got
I
both.
got one.
I got one.
and you guys got 2 up in front.
There's an extra.
Huh?
There's an extra.
Yeah.
Should be no extra. Oh, that's a nice fish too.
Nice fish.
First fish
Yeah,
of the
it's
night.
about deep.
Oh wow.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
That is a nice fish. You got some golden on it.
Hand me the net, Don. So, that was a deep water fish.
That was a
I
deep one.
noticed you were stripping off a little bit there.
Oh, too short.
Short.
Yeah.
But the other ones are good.
Okay, here we go. It looks like he's deep. It's deep. It is. Like that. Just a little bit of work. In the chest.
There he goes into the ice chest. How big was that fish?
That's about a pound and 3/4.
Yeah.
Here we go. Nice Lake Mead catfish we just got on an anchovy. About 22 feet of water.
Who does your hair, Don?
Who does my hair? Jay Chan's Barbershop. There you go. That's my first carp of the year right there. That's a, man, we just had a fight like you wouldn't believe. There he is. He's probably 6 at least. But these are, you want to take these out of the water. Don't put them back because they eat a lot of bass and eggs and everything and destroy nests. So you'll go in there and we'll call somebody and they'll eat them. So heck of a fish. Probably our big fish of the night, probably.
So Ryan just caught a nice catfish.
How many you caught so far, Ryan?
I think 5.
And what's your average?
Well, none to 3.
So you're over.
Yep.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Ryan?
Very good.
There he is.
Is that Bill's fish?
Let's see what they say is out there.
Now it's a good focus. How many fish is that for you, Bill?
2.
2?
2.
But they're big ones.
Only been here 10 minutes. Jay Chan puts another one in the boat. Been a little slow tonight. We don't have any wind, and it's really causing the bite to be slow. Hold them up, Jay, and let's see what you got. Alrighty. That's a nice fish.
Here.
Ooh.
So Bill just caught this nice cat.
Welcome back to Back at Camp. I'm your host, Captain Don Martin. Now last night we had a trip out on Lake Mead out of South Cove, and boy was it a tough one. We had almost a full moon, we didn't have wind much at all, and it was a really, really tough bite. The moon didn't go down till about 3 o'clock, and it was just tough all the way around. We didn't catch as many fish as we normally did. We ended up catching 57 fish. Of course, Jay Chan was the top angler with 19. And then Dan, he came in second place. He got 13. I ended up with 10. Ryan ended up with 9. And Bill ended up with 5. Just a really tough trip. Now, we caught almost 50-50 on stripers and channel cats. And what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how we fillet channel cats and striped bass. This is the way we do it. it's not saying it's the absolute perfect way, but it's the way we do it. And we have found over the years that this is a good way to do it. This way, when we're done, you've got fish ready to eat. So here's what we got. We got a real nice Lake Mead channel cat right here. And what we're going to do is, the way I do it, is I sit, and I'm left-handed. Okay? So here's what we do. Now, they've got a lot of ribs right in this area. And what we found is, it does no good to try to fillet them this from here up. What we do is we use this fin here and this fin here as our mark. So what we got here is we got our Rapala electric fillet knife, we've got a real nice Lake Mead channel cat, and what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we do it. I come in here right here, I come down to the backbone, I rotate it down the backbone, and then I just simply flip it over, come right back in, and there you go. There is a perfect Lake Mead catfish fillet right there. And I'll show you, we'll rinse it off a little bit. And there you have it. No skin. Now, what we will do is it's got a little bit of ribs right there, right in this area. So we'll cut those out, but when you're done, you got a beautiful Lake Mead fillet off that, or Lake Mead catfish. Now this one, same thing. You come down, come right down to the spine, work it, flip it over. Now what you're going to do is you're going to come like this, keep under the skin. Now here you got a little bit of skin left. Just trim that off right there real easy. There's your Lake Mead catfish fillet. So that's how we do catfish here at Striper Hunters. Now, sometimes we'll see, I'm always interested in what these catfish are eating. So I come in here and we can look at their stomachs. Now this one here doesn't have anything in it, nothing at all in its stomach. So we caught this catfish pretty quick when we were down there. Here we have a typical Lake Mead striper. The average striper in Lake Mead weighs 1.24 pounds, or about 1.25 pounds. And that's just about what this fish weighs. Now, this is a little bit different to fillet. What we're going to do is we're going to come in here right behind the gill plate. We come down, we hit the spine, we rotate the knife, follow it right down, flip it over, come right here on the end. Now, what we've got is we've got a fillet, but we've got a rib cage attached. So what we do after that, we simply come in, do the rib cage, and there you go. There's your striper fillet right there, boneless. By the way, this fillet is ice cold because this fish has been on ice all night. So that's how we do it right there. You end up with a nice fillet here. Now this red, I've heard people say, oh, you got to cut that out. That's not necessary. It's not going to affect the taste of the fish at all. So there it is. That's a nice fillet. There's one of them. Now, I flip him over. I come right behind his gill plate. I come right to the spine. Hold the knife so that the blade is just touching the spine. Then I turn around, hit him like this. There's the fillet with the ribs attached. You see the ribs right here. And I come in with the fillet knife, address the ribs, and there it is. There's the perfect striper fillet again. So this is what we end up with, okay? Now, one thing that I like to do is I'll look at the fish and sex it. I want to know what sex this fish was. I can tell you from looking at this fish is a post-spawn female. And I can tell this because right here are her egg sacs, right there. I also want to check and see what this fish has been eating. So I can come in, I can cut the stomach, I can look at it, and I can tell you right there That is little bitty minnows that were cruising around our lights. And these stripers come in and they just gobble them up like candy. So that's what it is. Those are little baby minnows right there. So there you have how we go ahead and take care of our fish that we catch on a typical striper hunter's trip. Like I say, it's easy, it's quick, and it's a good deal. So this is how you do it. Now, one might wonder, okay, well, how do you take care of this meat? I mean, if we caught up to 235 fish on a trip, what are we going to do with all these fillets? Well, what we do with them is, of course, we clean them all up, we'll wash them, we put them in gallon Ziploc bags for the trip to the client's house, where they're going to break it down. Now, what we recommend is either putting these in a environment that's got water in it. You can actually put these fillets in there and freeze these, and they will last virtually forever. Another technique you can use is you can put them in a dehydrator, in a bag, one of those seal-a-bag affairs. You can put them in there. Now, it's important that you dry them off. You have to dry them off with a paper towel, but you can put them in there and then seal them up. And then they're ready to go in the freezer, and again, they'll last for a long, long time. Well, this is how we do this, folks, and this is all we're going to show today, and I hope you learned something. Striper fishing, catfishing on Lake Mead can be extremely tough, or it can be pretty easy. It just depends. But one thing is important: always take care of your fish, because those fish right there deserve a fitting end, if you will, and that means using them. So don't waste these fish. These fish are very important. So that's the message I want to send to you, is that the fish are important. So until next week, this is your host, Captain Don Martin, saying keep your fishing line fresh, your firearms oiled. We'll see you next week back at camp.